Merry me, Annie here. This is a video in my series One Witch's Way, and this is going to be about candle magic. Now, in all of my videos, as I'm preparing for them, I'm actually making notes first. There has become a propensity on YouTube of folks with 45-minute and hour-long videos, and I don't want to become one of those YouTubers. I assume anyone out there has a little more time than to spend hours watching one person's videos. So I am going to indeed not script myself, but outline so that I say what I need to say and end the video. So you will see me referring to my cheat sheet and looking down occasionally, and please do not think it is disrespectful of you. It's actually my attempt to keep from those horribly long videos that are popping up all over the place. I do want you to spend quality time with me, but not excessive time with me. This video is about candle magic. I was thinking about doing this because I have encountered conversations, and indeed I think we had a topic recently on pagan perspective about candle magic, and I love candle magic. And I mentioned there that we all find the few things that we do the best, and candle magic is something that means a lot to me. And I wasn't sure what was out there about candle magic. I looked at about probably a dozen videos. And the reason I wanted to do something about candle magic is maybe my take is slightly different. And anytime we see something with a slightly different perspective, it gives us another insight into what something might be. Where I was finding that I was very different about candle magic from what I was seeing of sites, YouTube videos, I should say, that I was looking at is, it seems, and I looked at a couple actually more modern pagan books in my bookshelf and realized that indeed it's being represented that way, so I can understand why it got that way. Many candle magic practitioners see candle magic as representative of all the elements, so they see it as an encompassing kind of magic, with the candle being earth and the melted wax being water and the smoke being air and the flame being fire. Well, here's where candle magic is different for this witch. It is absolutely not that to me. It's fire magic. Pure, clear, purposeful fire magic. It's about the flame on the candle. Now, why do I take it this way? First, it is what I was taught, and candle magic to this day I practice almost exactly the way I was first taught. The candle itself is important. It's like, if I said it's all about just the flame on the candle, well then you'd say, well then, light a fire in your cauldron, or light a bonfire then. What, it's not candle magic then, it's something else. And indeed I do find magic work done with fire that is in a cauldron or in a bonfire is very different. Another aspect of fire work. To me, candle magic is about the flame on the candle and everything that it represents. The candle itself is truly the me in the magic. Working with the candle, the column, I make it an energetic column of what I want from the working. Whether I want energy drawn down from the flame, energy rose up and out of and offered up from the flame, whether I want it centered, I'll work on the center of the candle if I want it to be drawn mid-level. The candle becomes the column. It becomes the energetic channel. And in many ways, it is the me in the magic, because I decide every time I do candle magic what that working is going to be about, and how I dress the candle, how I inscribe the candle, how I work with the candle is how I use the energy of fire, the flame being the magic I am working with. So my take on it is a little bit different, so I thought, good place to start with this series, One Witch's Way, Candle Magic. Now, fire to me, as an element, is so many things. The videos I was seeing, there was a similar trend, and so there was in the neo-pagan books I looked at on my bookshelf, that Fire is the fast-acting magic. Fire is the get it done, the put it out there and poof kind of magic. I found that very limiting of what fire magic and candle magic is, because fire is so many things, and I would ask anybody who's wandering that direction to think about everything fire can be. Everything from devouring flame to the warmth and nurturing offering of a bonfire or a hearth to spark, to smoldering, embering, smoking fire. In nature, it is everything from lightning and star and sun to something as dramatic as volcano, lava. Fire is so many things, and it is not offer it and poof. It is not fast acting. Yes, it is, if that is what we have decided it will be in that work of magic. But it is one of so many things that it can be. What we have in common with fire is it must devour in order to survive. I remember when a teacher told me that once. The things that your teachers tell you that years and years later you're still thinking about them, that still lives on in me. That our kinship to fire is we must consume to exist. That's an important part of what fire magic feels like to me, is that energy. So I wanted to mention that. It comes from my history of how one of my teachers presented that kinship that we have with fire. We can certainly relate to fire as fury and inspiration. We think of fire as will, as spiritual, as devouring, as creative. But there's also the opportunity to know that it exists as we do. I found that a way to relate to fire that was very powerful. It's traditional when you are studying to come up with, for the 4 elements, what each one might represent. And in the process of studying, the witches encouraged, working with their teacher, to actually come up with their own one word that each element represents to them. But we begin by being told what would be the standard descriptions of each element, and I start with my students with that. And these are the couplets that I present studying the elements are earth that binds and gives form, water which makes things flexible and mutable, air which liberates and stimulates, and fire which energizes and activates. Energizes and activates. Now, all of this come up with our own power word for what fire is. But energizes and activates is a couplet that covers it in general. It brings something out of something else. So it's not just what it is itself, it's what it transforms something else into. Very powerful, powerful magic with firework, and therefore candle work. An important part of what candle magic is spiritually to me is the power of the flame as surrender, as reaching potential and releasing. And indeed, that's the part of fire magic that I have in common with videos I've been watching on YouTube about candle magic, which is the power of reaching a pinnacle of energy and then releasing it. But it's how it's released that impacts the kind of magic we want to do. We could burn paper with an offering on it. We could burn an offering, herbs or some other such thing. And it is gone quickly, released quickly. That may be the focus of that working. Or we can use fire as the ember, that which smolders, which lives on and can be brought forth again with slight attention. Many different ways in which we can look at it, but fire is an act of spiritual surrender, I guess I would say. When you look at a flame or you look at a bonfire and you look at the heart of it, and you know how it's blue and red in the middle, and then it turns to oranges and yellows and starts to fade to a bit of white before it's gone. Understanding surrender can be done by meditating on where the fire disappears, following and experiencing it with your eyes, Where is fire? Where does fire not become fire? When does it no longer exist? And there's an offering over and a blending in and a releasing and a way that fire ends, which is very spiritual, and it's about surrender. At the deep spiritual level, of course, surrender to divine will, but surrender on many, many different levels of how we release and give in and open up and transform. So I'm hoping that gives you an idea what candle magic is to me. Nothing about the technique of it here in this video, but my techniques won't mean anything if I didn't explain what it is to me, which is perhaps different than your experience of it. It is what I was taught, and it's proven to be that for me. It is firework. It is working with will and alignment and fire. It's about the flame. The candle, to me, in candle magic, as I say it, is the me in candle magic. It is my intention for the flame. It's not about water, air, or earth to me. It is truly about fire and will. So there's my take on my personal philosophy of candle magic, which I share so that it matters in relation to, I'm going to do the next video on. I did a working last night for warming for myself, and I'll explain that. And in that, when I thought about that afterwards, when I was journaling, I thought, now here's an example of something that would be one witch's way. It's not just what I believe about candle magic or what I do, but why, and an example of my having done it. So I'm hoping that this will bring some value to this kind of thing, even if just for a couple who have interest in this. So I am going to follow this up with what I did to prepare for a particular ritual and why, because it gives the background on how I prepare for all of my candle magic work. I wish you mirth and reverence. Mary Part.